have two parts originally in the presentation. One is a general introduction to the needs assessment, and in particular to the core requirements from the last convention of the party, so from COP5. And then the second part, which is a bit more technical, based on the reporting format. So from the needs assessment background, what I will only try and highlight is this slide, which is the real need and the logic behind the needs assessment. As you know, under the Stockholm Convention financial mechanism, there is the needs assessment serves as periodical evaluation of the financial resources required by developing country parties and parties with economies in transition to implement the convention. So the costs related to the implementation of the convention. And here we highlight three categories of activities that we want to have funded. The ones for direct obligation under the convention, for example, dealing with stockpiles, dealing with specific substances such as pesticides or industrial chemicals. Indirect costs as well, things for information management, for example. And mostly the information on which the needs assessment is based is the one that is available through national implementation plans. And we know that parties have had two approaches to develop their national implementation plans, either by specific action plans or directly following the logic of the convention by articles. And the last element that's really important to remember about the needs assessment is that it is useful for the replenishment process of the Global Environment Facility. As you know, the GEF undergoes a replenishment every 4 years, and now the needs assessment is put in line with that process. So the end product of the questionnaires you have to put in and the analysis that's going to be done by independent consultants is a report that will go to COP6 next year, and then that will be available for the start of the next GEF replenishment process. And if you don't mind, I will skip the background and the history on the needs assessment, but you're welcome to read it for yourselves before and then ask any questions that you may have. And then I'll focus on what happened at the last COP. As you know, there were a number of new chemicals added in 2009 and then later in 2011 to the convention. And there was a general idea that this funding available was not sufficient anymore to cover needs of parties. It was decided that the needs assessment would now be undertaken regularly, so every 4 years starting at the next COP. And the COP adopted a format for reporting that was presented in the previous report, and that is the basis of the questionnaire that has been sent to parties. The other important issue is that parties have now been requested not only to submit information, but also to provide a summary of their NIP, highlighting critical and substantive financial issues. Terms of reference have been adopted in the resolution and in the decision. So you will find them in decision SC522. And these are the basis for the work that's been developed for preparations of the Excel spreadsheet and the guidance. So the needs assessment goals for the current reporting period are the gathering of information, but also highlighting, the challenges that parties have faced with specific obligation or issues, and also something that is new is the possibility to report carryover costs. So costs of activities that have not been met in the previous reporting period. And this is something that can be done in the form. Again, a report will be prepared using external experts and presented to COP. and this report will be made available to the GEF. This is the reporting format with which you must be familiar, and I will skip that. And then I will just highlight some key points in the reporting exercise. That the reporting should be based really on a set of priority activities identified in national implementation plans, but also relevant national policies, because I'm aware that a number of you have developed action NIPs, but are maybe in the process of updating it. On this note, you might be interested in knowing that we're finalizing the NIP update guidance, but it's been delayed due to some review by experts. So if you're still waiting for the NIP update guidance, it's going to be available shortly. It's being finalized, but it's not there, and we apologize for the delays in providing that. But if you haven't updated your NIP, it might be useful then to have a list of activities, programs, or specific projects that you plan to undertake. And for this list, what we're trying to, what would be helpful then for the reporting is to have the costs related to these priority activities, programs, and other projects. And that's, I think, should be the basis for the reporting. Once you have this list, it's more working through the file and reporting relevant activities into the different articles. And here it's highlighted that it's most likely that you will report things under articles 3.4, 5, 6, and 6.1. Again, the time frame, the format allows you to report the money that has been used until 2014, but you can also report carryover activities and those activities that have not been financed but that will require financing in the future. 2015-19 needs should reflect activities that are identified as priorities or for which funding will be available or is being sought. Here the distinction between baseline and incremental costs, just to highlight that to simplify this in the form, we talk about national resources being used for baseline costs and external resources being used for incremental costs. And to answer to start talking about the question from Marina Delavos, I guess what you're interested in addressing is finding good ways of presenting the incremental costs to donors. And then, if we want, I'll talk when I'm done with the presentation. I'll talk maybe about action plan training or presentation of issues by action plans, and the new requirements of the GEF. As mentioned, there is guidance available on the internet, and here are our contact details of myself and of my colleague Frank, whom you can call if you've got any further question on the note. Okay, I see that Ms. Haijun has a question, and I will come back to your question just after. So I will maybe not give a detailed presentation on the Excel spreadsheet, but reminding you of the main elements. And here, I will refer you to our website, where you will find. Can I have the screen now? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just need to show you and share this. Yeah, you will now see my desktop, and I will show you. There you go. This is the page on the internet where you can find the information and the forms and the guidance. So you see that here is the Excel spreadsheet that you find in English, French, Spanish, the guidance, and the form for NIP executive summary. And if you don't mind, well, I will actually directly go now to the question from the representative of Belarus. And I think what you're looking for is something that is beyond or at the basis of the needs assessment. What you're looking for is a good way of presenting information on your identified priorities and the related costs. And I think for that, it's important that you have an updated NIP, or if you're in the process of updating or developing your NIP, that you follow a certain methodology. And I think, there is the one of the NIP, which is useful. And in that one, I think you have to look at two things. First of all is, for example, to prepare your NIP doing action plans. And there is guidance available that has been developed by UNITAR on action plan costing. And I will try and help you find it on our website. Here, if you go on the NIPS guidance, you will see that the guidance is, as I mentioned, is currently being updated, and it will be made available very shortly within, I think, a couple of weeks. And you have the process for review and updating NIPS, and there should be this guidance, which is useful. The guidance on action plan costing, including incremental costs. And I think this is really a good help for you to highlight the priority activities you have, but also how you wish to address them. And I will just open this file a bit, because if you typically go to the GEF and do your funding proposal, they will ask you whether you've done an analysis of incremental versus baseline costs, because you know that they will not fund baseline costs, so those costs that are within your national budget for development issues, but they want to have the incremental costs, so the costs that justify international action highlighted. And this document should be helpful for this. Of course, I cannot open it. Give me, sorry. Oh. Yeah, it takes a bit of a time to download. So that's one point. It's really doing action plan costing, and a second point is really highlighting your baseline and incremental costs. Yeah, Ms. Belarus, I don't know if at this point you want to specify a bit more your question, or if I've responded up to a certain point. So if you don't mind, I will give you the floor, and feel free to follow up on your question. Ms. Belarus, please, you can take the floor if you want to follow up on your question. Okay, I don't know if you've got a difficulty connecting, but again, my response to your question on how to better present information on your needs for the for donors goes through an update of your NIP using the guidance on the calculation of action plans, because this will help you identify your incremental costs. And then I will take maybe then the next question from Miss Haijun, and who asked whether in the needs assessment reporting we need to provide you with a list of activities. And here my response will be no, not in the form. So there is no need to provide a list in the form. When you open it, you will see that the list will be useful to report directly here. For example, if you want to report a project on PCBs, because that's what you have in your list, you will go under intentionally produced chemical, industrial chemicals of Annex A, and open this form. And here, you will list PCBs. And for example, if you have a project on PCBs and electric system, you will report it here. So, for example, let's say you have something to eliminate use in production and something on regulation, and you're doing environmentally sound management, disposal. And you have funding from your national government for $1 million, if I'm wrong, sorry. $1 million. And you have Jeff financing for 500,000. When you will report this, and you would say this is an ongoing activity, you will see that your activity has been listed here. So in a way, you will anyway be providing the list if you report this way. So we don't really, we're not asking for it, but it's useful for you to do the reporting using the form. And the other thing that is important is when you provide your national implementation plan summary using this form, you will see that you are asked to provide critical information, critical, substantive, and financial information. So your list of activity can be this critical, substantive information if you find it appropriate. So to summarize my response, I would say that in principle, we're not asking for the list of activities, but it might be useful for you to use the structure of that list to report on the Excel spreadsheet. And if you find it appropriate, because that is part of your national implementation plan or of your identified priorities, you can provide it in the form related to the NIP implementation summary. So I don't know if this answers your question, Ms. Haijun, but I'm happy to follow up and just send us again a text message if you want. We have also with us now Ms. Ortega. Hello, Ms. Ortega. My name is Hamoudi Shuba. I'm Program Officer with the Secretariat. I've been working on the Stockholm Convention Needs Assessment and developed the interactive tool. We can't hear you, but we'd like to know if you have any specific question regarding the needs assessment, because maybe you missed it. I did a small overall presentation, but we want this session to be useful to you. So if you have any question, please send them to us by text message, and I'll be happy to talk about the issues you may have. So I'll leave you a bit of time to send to my colleague Stephanie your question if you have any. Otherwise, I will ask Ms. Belavus whether she has any follow-up question to my indication on the guidance for the action plan costing.
Hello again. Actually, I think now things are quite clear. So the guidance that you showed on the website, well, they are clear. We have them because all the time we were working with the website. Yeah. Now we know at least what kind of strategy we should adopt. So first, of course, we have to update our NIT because we have done this on the national level. Yeah. But we are really looking forward to studying the guidance on NIT update, and I'm sure that we will have to revise our work in accordance with that guidance. So, and I think that we can also just do this work in parallel. I mean, working on the NIT update and probably working on this action plan costing, assessing the baseline cost, the baseline cost, and the incremental cost needs. So now, well, things are quite clear now, and I think that if we have any further questions, as it's written on the website, we can contact the secretariat, right?
Yes, yes. Please feel free to contact myself for the needs assessment, and we also have a colleague, Jacqueline Alvarez, and I can forward you her email, who is working directly. She's been supervising the NIP guidance updates.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'll be happy to, Jacqueline Alvarez, you will find her, I'll show you on the website where to find her contact details. If you go on our synergies page, here on the screen, you will see the link to the secretariat, our team, and she works in the technical assistance branch, and here is her contact team.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you could copy it from here directly. But as mentioned, I see we have a question from Ms. Ortega regarding the availability of the NIP guidance, the NIP update guidance. Again, this has been a very lengthy process, and it has been also a bit difficult due to the number of guidance being updated and the fact that we cannot issue one without having all of the others ready. So they were due to be ready this summer, and because of the number of experts involved and the peer review process, it has taken a bit of time. But my colleague told me half an hour ago, before starting this webinar, that they hope to have them out in a couple of weeks. So I know this is information we've said previously, but this is something that we hope will be useful in the long run. So again, we apologize for the delays, but we could not issue one without issuing all of the others. So you will receive an official communication once these, official contact points will receive information once the NIP guidance is available. I see. Okay, I see the information. Ms. Haijun from China is saying that in her executive summary, because China has not accepted the amendments, they haven't begun the work on the NIP update, so there will be no new information about the NIP other than the one China has submitted. This is fine. This is not a problem at all. This is perfectly okay, and we understand that parties have to report the information that they have available at this time. It's simply that the consultants thought, in the methodology, it was for the needs assessment, it was found to be useful that countries provided a summary of their NIP. And this can be copy and paste directly from previous documents, or stating exactly the previously submitted information. So this is fine. What about the reporting format to S? I see another question from Ms. Ortega about the reporting format for the Stockholm Convention. Are you talking about the Article 15 reporting? Because please don't be confused between, yes, the Article 15 reporting. Well, the Article 15 reporting will be considered again at the next, sorry. Well, now I shouldn't be confused. So this is the national reporting, and I'm not sure about the status of the actual form. I have to check with my colleague. Can you hold on maybe a second? I will see if I can just quickly call him to see if I can answer your question. Thank you very much. Yeah, but I don't know. Oh, I can't see it on the screen.
Hello, this is the host speaking, Stephanie Rademacher. While we wait for Hamoudi to contact a colleague to follow up on this question, we encourage you to just reflect for a few minutes if you have any other questions that need to be answered. A few of you are having problems with microphones, so as a substitute, we encourage you to use the chat messages, but this should only take about a few more minutes, so please be patient. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi again. Sorry for the interruption. I just tried to reach my colleagues, but unfortunately they're not there. So rather than giving you an answer I don't have, I will ask them to email you about this issue, Ms. Ortega, if that's okay with you. Because reporting is not an area I'm that familiar, so I don't want to say anything stupid. Do you have maybe further questions directly on the needs assessment or on other financial issues? I don't know, Ms. Haijun, do you have anything, or Ms. Ortega, do you have anything you would like to ask? Or Ms. Belavus, please take the microphone if there is anything you'd need. Okay, well, if this is all from our side, again, I'm happy that we've been able to make this session interactive and as much as possible, and I hope it's been useful for you because we're trying to improve the way we do webinars, and I think having like that questions and answers is sometimes more useful than just having presentations. So I will thank you for your time, and then I'll be available to answer any questions you may have. I will pass on the microphone to my colleague Stephanie, but again, I'd like to thank you, and I note that most of your questions are related to the NIP guidance update. So I will be in contact with my colleague Jacqueline to tell her that you'll be expecting information on its availability shortly. Thank you again for your time. Have a good evening, or have a nice day or afternoon. And I see another question from Ms. Ortega. Well, you can suggest webinar topics that could be useful information. If you have anything already in mind now, you can tell us, or you can contact me, others, if you want to, or my colleagues, if you have any suggestion for this webinar. And I hope this is what you meant in your question. We also do, for example, for this, if you want, we can do a one-on-one training session separately, Ms. Ortega, and I'd be happy to be in touch with you directly if that's something you want to be doing. So maybe not through a webinar, but we can be on the phone, and then we can share desktop if that's something you want to be doing, if you have very specific questions, for example, on the needs assessment. So you have my contact details, and if you have any question really on the needs assessment, just send me an email, and then I will call you, and then we can have a phone conversation. Okay, so you're working on CN, okay, in the Philippines. But we do, well, just to let you know, we do these webinars regularly. They allow us to do group training. So you'd like to do webinars. That's something, if you want to have more information about webinars, you can contact my colleagues, and again, I will take you to the Synergies website, working on technical assistance. You can contact our head of branch, Maria Cristina, or you can contact Francesca Ceni, who's the program officer in charge of the webinar. And maybe you've known her from previous activity, but she would be the contact point. Yes, please Ms. Ortega, please feel free then to contact Francesca if you want to have some training activities, and I'm sure she can guide you or help you find the right way or help you design the training. But my colleague, yeah, Francesca, would be the person to contact. I hope this answers your question. If that's the case, well, then again, I'll thank you for your time, and then I will pass the microphone back to my colleague, Stephanie. Thank you very much, and have a nice day, have a nice evening. Bye-bye.